So the Argentine people, especially, and you'll work a lot more with a lot of the more humble parts in Neuquén, they're very giving. And so when you meet an investigator, it's hard sometimes because one of the first things they want to do is just be your friend, you know? And so you go and talk with them, and that's why you have in Preach My Gospel, you have chapter 10, like how to begin teaching and everything, because you kind of have to establish, we're here for this purpose, like we want to help you understand the gospel, we have a very important message to share, and you share things like that with them. But a lot of times investigators are like, oh, we love these missionaries. And it's hard sometimes because they get so attached to missionaries that if one leaves, it's hard for them to keep learning about the gospel because they feel so attached. But it comes from the goodness of their heart to really become your friend. And that was something that I loved. We had some investigators in lots of areas that we'd go visit them, and as soon as we'd get there, they'd be like, what do you need? Do you need water? We can make some juice. I made this cake for you. And you're just like, they're very, very loving people. And you'll find a few that aren't, but I mean, as a general rule of thumb, yeah, people are very open. And that's one of the things I love, because in some missions, I've heard that you can't talk with people on the street for whatever reason, whether it be political or like cultural, but that was one of my favorite things to do in Argentina. Is people are walking around all the time, and they're generally open people, and be like, hey, we're missionaries. Have you seen missionaries like this before? They're like, yeah, but I've never talked with you. Like, what do you talk about? And like, we share a message, and you can just start talking with them. They're pretty good about listening, and they want to know. They have a very strong desire for knowledge. They want to be cultured, and so learning about things, and especially the message we have to share, is something that they're generally open to, which I like a lot. Other cultural things about Argentina, I mentioned the siesta a little bit before, but they do work a lot, and they value this chunk of time that they have after lunch to sleep, or to relax, or to be with their family. And that's good because they changed the rules a little bit in our mission, where we would do the studies after lunch, which was really hard sometimes because you'd just be so full of like Milanesa or something, and you'd be reading the Book of Mormon or like Preach My Gospel and be like, do the like, you know, little eyelash thing. And so, but that's one thing that I enjoy, because they're very honest about it. They're like, oh, I can't, like I'm gonna sleep the siesta. They do drink something called mate, which is like, it's ground up herbs, and it's not against the word of wisdom. But in my mission, we weren't allowed to drink it. And I think it's because that's a very cultural thing too. As far as being socially connected, mate is a very important part of their culture. And so what they do is they have these herbs, they pour them in a cup, and they pour hot water on it. And some drink it like bitter and don't put sugar on it, and it just tastes like you're sucking on grass. And some people put sugar in it, it's a little sweet, but it still tastes like grass. And we weren't allowed to drink it, because I think it's one of the things where if they're sharing mate with you, it's because they just want to do small talk. It's like, hey, you're our friend. We want to just talk about life. Tell us about what's going on. They're very considerate, and they love talking. People will talk over each other all the time, especially if they're taking mate. It's just like, it's relaxed, but lots of interruptions from all sides, because everyone has something to say. They're so opinionated. And that's good, because then when you teach them the gospel and they get a testimony of it, they're like, this is so important. But that's mate. It's a very social thing. I mean, I don't think people do it for the flavor, because it's kind of gross in my opinion. I don't drink it a whole lot, but that's something that they do to stay connected with other people, and they'll always drink that before doing the siesta.